What we're specifically going to have a look at is how CTI is connected to other areas that it cooperates with, and how it's embedded in an organization, and the processes that need to be in place and the activities that need to be in place to make sure that CTI and the data that comes with it and the information that comes with it actually brings value to an organization. To start out with, we'll have a look at this one here. This is the very first and the very highest prioritized critical capability in the toolkit and in the Kanban and in the critical capabilities. The critical capabilities are organized by their priority. The priority comes out in a number. You see here the number 1495. That means there's 1,495 critical capabilities in this toolkit. This is the one that has gotten the highest priority of them all, based on proximity, based on data relevancy, based on information that it's related to, basically around the critical capability that it's related to. What we see here, if I open it up, go click, open it up. You see a couple of globes around it, a couple of bubbles around it. It's related to cyber operations. That's something that we need to have in place to have a successful cyber threat intelligence. What the main critical capability here says: combine cyber threat intelligence with vulnerabilities to simulate relevant threats, evaluate internal, external client incident response capabilities, and help security operations teams prepare for worst case scenarios. And that's what you basically do with your cyber threat intelligence. You're constantly preparing for the worst, making sure that you've got all the data and the information out there available from feeds like OSINT, etc., and use that information and combine it with internal information to ensure that you've got a real overview of what actually is happening in your cyber threat intelligence area. Now, if I open these up, for instance, cyber operations, I reckon a lot will come out of it. There we go. These are all the activities that are related to cyber operations. So if you want to do cyber operations well, this is what you need to have in place. Let me zoom in a bit so you can have a quick peek at one or two of these. You collaborate with other IT operations, threat intelligence, and incident response teams to build automated processes and orchestrations for security applications. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Ensure your design, next one here, is involved in SIEMs, firewalls, email security. Let me put it in the middle. There we go. Email security, intrusion protection systems, identity and access management, EDR, proxies, threat and vulnerability management. That's just one of many that we've got here that's related to the cloud security bubble. Let me go back to where we started. And so we have the cyber operations one unclicked here. The other one that we see here is high density keyword that is related to security. Security is the topic that's used, obviously, for obvious reasons, in most of the cyber threat intelligence critical capabilities and the relationships to it. So if you look here, if I've now clicked on it, double clicked on it, and we see here loads of information that's related specifically to security and CTI. I'll zoom in a bit so you can pause and you can have a look at what's in there. I won't read them out loud. Won't do that to you today, as you can have a look at what's in there, basically. Okay, let me zoom it back. There we go. Now, what else did we have? We have security. We clicked on that one. Cybersecurity. Here we have a question. How do covered entities currently evaluate incident response and cyber resilience capabilities? So that would be a question to ask your team, your internal operations, to ensure that you get the conversation around cyber threat intelligence going and ensure that everything is in place. You can dive deeper into that by then answering the question by doing this, making sure this is in place, and clicking further on any of these if you want to go further down the rabbit hole into that area. And as you see here, it's a must-have criterion. Cyber threat intelligence must be combined with internal data about relevant threats and to prepare operations teams for worst-case scenarios. That's what it's all about. If I click on the must-haves, you get to see all the must-haves. That's the way we organize the critical capabilities in must-haves, should-haves. You can do those later, and five different steps for prioritization, basically. If I double click on the must-have, it'll open up a whole ball of exciting things that need to be in place again. So these are all the must-haves for CTI, for cyber threat intelligence, that organizations need to have in place. And again, I won't read them out loud, but I'll zoom in a bit and I'll see if I can pan over it a bit so you can have a look at what's going on here. There's a lot going on here that you need to have in place. Now, this gives you an idea of the highest priority in CTI and how everything is related to it. Now, if I also, there's another one here, and these are this is a set of keywords that are relevant to this specific one, this specific criterion. And other criteria might use this specific set of keywords as well. See what comes up. There they are. So you see there are different ways of finding out what's relevant in those over 1,400 critical capabilities that you can use in your organization, finding out which ones to start out with. And as you know, you know by now that you can click on each and every one of those and it'll pop up with the specific details and the questions that you can ask your team. For instance, this one, what are the gaps in situational awareness? If you want to take a look at this one, maintain situational awareness. Now, let's have a look at the 5 highest prioritized critical capabilities. So we've only looked at the first one, the one with the highest priority. Let's do a limit of 5, see what comes up. So these are the 5, and I'm not going to read them out loud. I'm going to double click them so I can see how everything's connected right away. Look at that. Now we get a nice overview of what we truly need to do in CTI right away to ensure that we have decent processes in place. So we see here, first I'm going to have a look at the small light blue balls, cyber asset, threat modeling, CCISO, that's the examination for CISOs, offensive security, Kali Linux, yeah, offensive security, and here, cyber operations. So these are the processes, I would say, and the activities that you need to have in place in an organization to ensure that CTI is really successful and actually is embedded in your organization. The big blue balls are then the activities that you can do. I would say need to do because they're connected to the must-have ball here. And these are the questions that you can ask your team to make sure that they understand what this is all about. They truly understand what needs to be covered here. What are the key functions in your organization that support cyber information sharing and analysis? What is threat intelligence and how does it differ from antivirus research and security research? What do you assume about the level of the adversary? What malware analysis and reverse engineering capabilities do you have in place? And we have the covered entities here. That's the original first one. This gives you a great overview right away of what you need to cover in your CTI to ensure that it's successful. Now, if I want to have a look at everything that's in there, and then I'll do the return everything, which will show you all the critical capabilities that are in there. Basically unreadable, but you can get an idea when I pan over it what's going on here. There we go. So this is everything that's in the database. Let's see if it can handle it. Oh, it doesn't crash. Wonders. It's a lot that's in there. So we see here the big blue balls. Those are the critical capabilities. We've got the pink balls. Those are the questions related to the critical capabilities. And we've got the prioritization in there as well. This is the whole hairball, how everything's connected for CTI. Cyber threat intelligence and how it's prioritized. The ones in the middle of the graph, the knowledge graph, are the ones of the highest priority that really need to be in place, and it spreads out throughout that. So if it wants to work with me, I can zoom in. It's a lot of data, so you can understand that it might be a bit sluggish. There we go. It zooms in. It zooms in, and it gives you an overview of what needs to be and what needs to be covered. Now, see all the connections. It's showing all the connections here right away. Now let's go one step and focus on one thing, and that's only on the related subjects. I've shown you the cyber operations, for example. Now let's have a look at the other related subjects. I've got to wait for my browser to relax. Hang on. It's still working. It's still working, the details. So we're going to go to each and every one of these balls with the data, the orange balls. There we go. Loading. And well, I only want to see the subjects, all the subjects that CTI is related to. And there we go. All the subjects that CTI is related to that are in here and that need to be in place, the activities that need to be in place for CTI to be successful. Well, let me zoom out so you can get to see what's there. Zoom in, you can actually read them. We need to take care of cyber defense threat hunting, creative competitive intelligence, cyber CTF, threat intelligence, security operations center, ransomware, security information and event management, SIEM, threat hunting, security incident, and employee scheduling for the people that need to work there, DLP, data loss processing, prevention, DevOps tool chain, business continuity management risk. And again, I can click on each and every one of them and see what comes up. Just click on cloud security compliance, develop cybersecurity analytics and threat intelligence using multiple data sources using SIEM. There we go. Double click. How you develop learning methods from learning from adversarial data. Let's see if I can find another one. Business continuity management risk. And you get to see how they're connected because we're trying to find connections here. The connection is the main topic, CTI. Let's find another one, third one, give you an idea. Threat hunting, let's see what comes up there. Oh, way more, look at that. Threat hunting. So for CTI, obviously a very important topic in CTI is threat hunting. And this is what needs to be in place for threat hunting to be successful in your organization. And I'll zoom into it a bit so you can pause and you can have a look at it and read it in your own time. I can pan over it, or it might just, yeah, it's panning. It's panning a bit. All right, now let's get the highest. Let's get all the questions first. Let me show you the questions that are in the database. The questions, and then we get to see how they're related as well. So these are the criteria, the questions that are in the database. So as you know, there are over 1,400 critical capabilities in them, and each critical capability has a specific question related to it. These are the questions that you can ask in your organization to ensure that you have that in place, that you have that activity covered. And I'll just pan over it so you can pause and have a look at it. And then again, if I click on each and every one of them, I get to see which criteria it's actually related to. I'm clicking on, does your platform leverage automation to simplify manual workflows? And there it goes. Check that your operation is responsible for analyzing, building and deploying, maintaining and documenting new security orchestration and automation response playbooks to extend the existing automation capabilities of the SOC, Security Operations Center. So this gives you a great idea. These give you great handholds and great ideas what needs to be in place. You can start off with the questions yourselves, or you can start off with the critical capabilities. It's your choice what works best for you. The toolkits themselves and the books, they start off with the questions, the Kanbans and the critical capabilities. They start off what needs to be in place, and that's what you're seeing here as well. Now, the other thing that we can do here is dive into the database a bit deeper by seeing if it is able to help me with questions I need to ask. So this is one of the questions that has the highest priority in the whole database. database. What security measures does your organization employ to keep your threat intelligence secure? So this is where I'm going to look for keywords, security and secure, see what comes up. Let's see what comes up. Here we go. And I've limited to 30, so it comes up with 5. Let's connect them as well. Open them up. Have a quick peek at what's going on here. There and there. There we go. What threat do you consider most likely to happen to your organization? So these are the questions that you need to ask. If, for instance, I were a manager and I'd go, what security measures do we employ or do we need to employ? I would go around asking these types of questions to my staff and to my personnel. What threat do you consider most likely to happen to our organization? Also, I'd be asking that to my management or board even. How can the product integrate with your existing capabilities? That's if you have a CTI solution or a SOAR solution or a SEIM solution. How does it integrate with your existing data? How can producers transform the operations and culture to embrace the technology? How to combine knowledge and imagination for foresight in risk management and risk assessment and management. If I then look at the criteria themselves, oversee that your team establishes and implements appropriate product security standards for the secure development, operations, and compliance. Ooh, now I'm being triggered. Now I want to have a look at compliance. What do we have CTI compliance-wise? Let's just go here. Let's do compliance and comply. Where use case contains compliance and use case contains comply. Let's see what comes up. Now I'm intrigued. See, this is an easy way to just start digging into here and follow your own rabbit hole, basically. Comply. And I'll just change the question here. Compliance. Up. Just for myself, you see this is a statement that we're not using, but gives you an idea. Compliance and use case and contains comply. Nothing. Or. Let's do or. And something seems to be happening. There we go. Ooh, that's a lot. Let's get the top 3 out of that, so that we narrow it down to the most important ones. These are the top. This is the top 3. And if I open this up, it'll show the whole enchilada here. Liaison, so that your design is providing intelligence, support, expert knowledge, and insight into compliance, cyber hunt, incident response, risk and vulnerability assessment, and emerging cyber threat requirements. All right. This is, let's see if I zoom in a bit so you can read it as well. Serve as a security expert in business process design, application development, database design, network and/or platform and operating efforts, helping project teams comply with enterprise and IT security policies, industry regulations, and best practices. That's what we want to have in place. Compliance. This one, make sure the information security analyst provides strategic direction and consulting to support cross-functional security activities and project teams, including security strategy, solution, architecture, technology products, design and implement policies, infrastructure hardening and compliance, remediation, policy, and risk. This is all the stuff that I need to have in place, at least to make sure these are the 3 highest important ones. And you see there are also must-haves to take care of compliance issues in my organization, to cover that at least in relationship to CTI, to cyber threat intelligence. And here you see it's also they're also related to cyber threat intelligence. So with this, you get a quick overview of if you need to dive into a certain topic, then it gives you the information that you need right away to cover, the information you need right away to dive into that and to ask the right questions. Now, with that, I will leave you for today. If you want to have more information, go to the link that's down here, store.theartofservice cyber threat intelligence critical capabilities. Is also in the show notes, and you can click on it, go there, dive into it. The whole Kanban is there, so you can play around with that. And if you want to use it for commercial purposes, there's an easy license you can purchase and get it right away. That's me for today, and we'll talk again tomorrow.